Hey everyone, Meinke here from MLive.com. Joined by Justin Rogers. Through 3 games, the Lions have all kinds of problems. One might be the running game, ranks 32nd, which I don't think that's very good. It's been rough going, and it's not just the tailbacks; it's the offensive line too, and just about anything else that could possibly go wrong. But the Lions are facing a pretty good defense this week. Establishing a run game is imperative for winning the game, keeping your quarterback healthy, all these things. What do you think the chances are that the Lions are able to get that thing on track this week?
I would say it's the quintessential problem for this team right now. I think it kind of has fostered all the other problems on offense, some of the predictability stuff that's out there, some of the pass blocking stuff because they've had to pass so much, and some of the defensive woes where they've been on the field too much. But it's the blocking. I know that Joique Bell is getting hammered and he hasn't been great, and maybe he's a step slow, but he's getting hit in the backfield on the majority of his snaps. Even Ameer Abdullah is averaging under 3 yards a carry since his nice 24-yard touchdown run against a pretty poor run defense in the Chargers. And I'm not confident, especially against Seattle, even though they're not a great run defense. They're only allowing 3.7 yards per carry. I just don't think it gets going this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's been tough going for the Lions running game. I know that the linemen used to say, they probably still do, something like that. If the tailback gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, it's on us. It's not on the tailback. And that's happened a lot this year. You look at last game, going into the Denver game, the Lions preached how much they needed to get the run game going and how much of an emphasis that was. And sure enough, they handed it off in the first play. Joique Bell hit 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, they are powerless at this point, I think, to really get something going up front. But at the same time, the different backs do bring something different to the table. You hear a lot of screams for more Abdullah, less Joique Bell. I get those screams. They're not off base. I think Abdullah gives you a better chance to break a big one, and I think his speed at this point is an asset over what Bell gives you, which he does look a little slow, a little old, a little injured, some combination of those. And now this week he is dealing with the ankle. He hasn't practiced through 2 days, and so I think you are going to see a lot more Abdullah. I think you probably see a lot more Riddick, because he has been playing well. He's been one of the few things that have actually worked back there for them, and we could see more Zenner as well.
And I'm to the point, and I never thought Zenner was the answer. I think it's kind of a fan reaching for something that maybe isn't there. But listen, I'm for trying something different at this point. What's not working right now is what they have been doing. Zenner obviously had a very good preseason running against largely second and third team vanilla defenses, but the kid runs hard. He has a history of productivity, much like Joique Bell did coming out of college for multiple years. Good decision maker, and the coaching staff trust him, and I think that's a big thing. When the coaching staff is trusting a rookie 3 games into his first year, it says a lot about the intelligence of that player. So if you got an intelligent running back and a strong, physically capable running back, whatever. I mean, start sprinkling him in there if nothing else. Throw him in there for some short yardage plays, and if Bell's damaged goods right now, then give him Joique Bell's carries.
Call me crazy, but it seems like every time, and I'm sure you have no problem doing that, Caldwell, every time he talks about or is asked about Zenner, he gets this little wry smile. He did it again today, I thought. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but to me it seems like Caldwell likes the guy, and I think that goes back even to the point in preseason before Zenner had really hit it big in games. But I think the Lions really like what they have in him. He's tough. He's a tough runner. All this stuff. There's a reason why he's stuck as a undrafted. But having said that, Abdullah is still this team's best tailback at this point.
No question.
And I think in this game in particular, I think you might see more Riddick too, because first of all, I think you'll see less Bell, so there'll be more snaps to go around. And Riddick is, again, one of the few things that have worked for the Lions in the backfield. And it's not even as a rusher. He's done great work as a return man, as a receiver. And he's 4th in the league among tailbacks in terms of receiving yardage. He's tied with Golden Tate for second most receptions on this team. He's made some tough grabs. The one in San Diego really stands out to me. I kind of watched it, and he had beaten Manti Te'o on the route, and then was quick enough and had good enough vision to beat 3 defensive backs for the score. And that just goes back to last year when he had the game-winning catch against Miami. Glover Quinn was telling me that's one of the best catches he's seen from a tailback ever. You know, just with the degree of difficulty and the moment it came in that game. This kid can catch passes, and I think with how much the Lions have struggled to establish the ground game, that's an easy way. You know, that the Seahawks are so good in the secondary. I'm not sure how much Calvin and Golden are going to be getting open and that kind of thing. So if you can't run and you can't go downfield, what else are you going to do? I think the short passes to guys like Riddick and Abdullah will be used quite a bit this week.
Yeah, and I haven't written about the topic yet. I'm still in the fact-finding stage. I'm kind of investigating the changes from Scott Linehan to Joe Lombardi's blocking scheme. They are both multiple schemes that include both power, man-on-man blocking elements, and zone scheme. I asked Joe Lombardi to pick one today, like what is your scheme? And he said, well, I guess if I counted it down, we're probably a zone team. It's to the point where it's not a big difference between the two, but I look at a lot of their runs where they're struggling right now, and I see the zone runs being the bigger problem. So I'm kind of trying to talk to guys and figure out if it's more of a chemistry issue. You hear a lot of things right now about young Lions playing together, not having a lot of time to develop because of the restrictions of the CBA, and I just think that the zone blocking elements of the Lions scheme, the run blocking, are lagging behind because of chemistry right now. And so I guess there is some hope for that to get better with time. Now, what does Caldwell say all the time? I have patience, but I don't have a lot of time. And at 0-3, they have zero time.
Right.
It's now or never. But I don't think that the Lions are going to be last all season, although they've put themselves behind the eight ball at this point.
Yeah, with the chemistry, it's hard to establish chemistry when you have. First of all, they had already taken away the two most venerable pieces on that offensive line, and then you see a first-time starter at center, but then you have the injuries to Larry Warford, so you've got fluidity at both left guard and right guard with guys moving and coming in and out of the lineup and all kinds of things. Of course, the right tackle situation with Lucas and Waddle, there's some fluidity there. There just hasn't been a lot of time for guys to gel, to work together, to get better, to understand each other, to hear calls from Stafford. I mean, I think that goes a long way towards some of the protection issues and blocking issues we've seen. And again, I think that's a bigger problem than the performance of the tailbacks. It always comes down to tailbacks, but at the end of the day, they got to have lanes too, and we haven't seen enough of those.
Yeah, that Warford injury has been really damaging. I don't think the Lions fans want to hear the word high ankle sprain again for quite some time after Calvin last year. And I believe Reggie Bush had one last year as well. It's Karan Reed. It's becoming problematic. I don't know if that's a issue with the four-field turf or whatever it is, but it's really I think hurt when your best offensive lineman's hurt on an already young line. That's a problem.
With Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman, all these guys back there, the running game is going to be very important for the Lions. We'll be tracking that all week, particularly with Joique Bell still not practicing. For Just Rogers, I'm Kyle Meinke. We're MLive.